What's up guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I want to talk to you guys about navigation systems for motorcycles, specifically in our case, the Carpuride 702 Pro. Now, before going into the details, I kind of want to give you an idea on how I landed on getting this specific navigation system and not going with something else. Up until recently, I was using my old iPhone 11 Pro for navigation with a QuadLock system, with a wireless charging system, which was great. It has worked great, but over the years and after a lot of rain, cold, sunshine, wind, I have realized that it might not be healthy for the phone in the long run. That said, I was already on the market looking for something that will replace my iPhone setup. Now, after having done quite a bit of research, I have remembered that I had an email from Carpuride that I got a few weeks back, and I haven't really taken it seriously because it was one of those reach out emails asking like, would you be willing to review one of our products? This being quite an early channel at this point, I figured it might be a bit of a hoax or it might not be serious, because I do get a lot of emails for random products like hoverboards and things that are completely unrelated. In this situation, I have looked at Carpuride specifically. Now, in my earlier review of the Husqvarna Norden 901 Expedition, I have mentioned Carpuride before, and at that time I really had a hard time pronouncing the brand. Alternatively, you can use a Carpuride. And finally, I can say I found out that it's kind of pronounced Carpuride, or whichever way works for you best. Now, I have replied to the representative that goes by the name of Kelly. She was really sweet. She even asked, what motorcycle I have, which product I would like. So I went on their website, I've researched what they offer. Carpurides are normally made for or advertised for BMW GS bikes because they are a lot better integrated. You can actually use the GS wheel from, or the magic wheel from the GS BMWs to control the functionalities of the navigation system. That would be, I believe, the Carpuride 702 or 502 BS. Now, I opted for the 702 Pro, which does have a few advantages relative to the BS, which is mounted on the GS BMWs, where you kind of have to remove the navigation system whenever you leave the bike, I guess outside or overnight, or even outside a shop if you're going to be away for a couple of hours or so. Whereas with the 702 Pro, it is directly connected via cable and everything is connected straight to the bike. So I'm not going to say that it's not stealable. You can kind of easily steal it if you really want to, but it does look like it's a bit more fixed onto the motorcycle. Having been on Carpuride's website, I have noticed that they actually had the 702 Pro plus TPMS sensor. This really rang a few bells for me simply because, as I was saying, I was using the QuadLock system so far, and I was using a standalone TPMS unit, which I got from AliExpress, to have an overview of the tire pressure on the motorcycle. With the 702 Pro plus TPMS, as you can imagine, the TPMS sensor is actually built into the system. Obviously, you have two sensors that you actually have to mount onto the valves. It's the same thing that the other unit had, but this way it's actually built into the navigation. So this way I could actually remove the standalone unit that was taking up quite a bit of space on my handlebar. Now, Kelly did reply, and she was very positive about the whole thing. She said that they'll package up the Carpuride system and send it over for me to review. So I just wanted to have that as a disclaimer. I did not buy the unit, they sent it over for me to review. And honestly, up until today, I still don't know if I actually own the unit or if I would have to send it back or something, but I know that as far as I've been using it, I've been quite happy with the unit. So yeah, it took about a week for the unit to arrive to Eastern Europe. I have then done a bit of an unboxing when I did decide to actually mount it onto the motorcycle, because it is quite a process. It's not too complicated. If you've already mounted something like a QuadLock system or any other navigation system, then you are aware of kind of what you're going to have to do. Now, with the Husqvarna Norden, it's pretty similar as to what you get on a KTM 890, 790, probably the bigger ones as well, and even the 390. They do have a slot on the tower where you can actually put a GPS mount on there, and they do have power straight in the tower. Right now, I've managed to remove the QuadLock system, disconnect it, and pretty much the same way I've connected my QuadLock setup, the same way I've managed to connect the Carpuride system as well. Now, a quick overview as to what I am using here. I am using a base for the GPS that I got from AliExpress. I believe it's nice CNC. I'll try to link it down in the description if you are interested in it. Then I have a QuadLock base. 4 screws go into the main nice CNC base. On top of that, you have the ball ram mount. I really don't know what they're called, but It's the ones that you would be using on an Insta360 or whichever. And on top of that, you actually have the navigation system. If you want something more sturdy, you can use a bar mount as well, and that's if you're doing a lot of off-roading. I do get quite a lot of vibration when I do ride off-road, but it's not bothersome enough for me to have to get a bar mount. Like, I actually prefer it this way. It does give a bit of leeway, like it doesn't get too many shocks this way whenever I'm riding at higher speeds. Also, because I have wires straight in the tower, I didn't have to lead the cable all the way to the battery of the motorcycle, nor do I have to use the USB setup. This way, I can just connect it to the wires that I have in the tower, and there is a socket that kind of comes out of the tower, which I can then connect to the unit. This also allows me to easily disconnect it. If I want to remove it overnight, the entire unit, then I can just disconnect it from there, and I know that it is waterproof. So that obviously is a big positive as well. Once all that was installed, I almost forgot to install the sensors for the TPMS, but I've done those as well. And as soon as everything was done, I just hit the ignition. Carpuride logo came up, took about 5 seconds for it to boot up, and I was instantly prompted to connect the Bluetooth device, which was my main phone at that point, which took about, I don't know, 5 seconds for the whole thing to connect. Then it does mirror your phone ultimately, because it's not a standalone unit. It's not something like a Garmin Zumo XT. It's supposed to kind of just mirror what's on your phone, which is perfect in my situation, because all I wanted was to spare my phone, but at the same time, I wanted to hold on to the functionality of my phone. If I wanted something like a Garmin that comes with its own proprietary software, it's something new that I would have to learn. This way, everything's in my ecosystem. I can use Google Maps, Waze, Apple Maps, depending on the situation. I can also select my music from on there, so it's working perfectly well for me. Also, price-wise, it is less than double the price of a Garmin Zumo. So I strongly believe that for 95% of adventure riders out there, the Carpuride 702 Pro will be more than enough. Whether you're using an Android phone or an iPhone, you know, it'll get the job done. I came up here to a mountain, I came off-road. Google Maps wouldn't take me all the way up here, but then Apple Maps was showing me all these off-road trails. Plus there's a bunch of apps that you can use, that you can download and you can subscribe to if you really want to use something for, you know, off-road trails, then you have that option as well. Whereas with the Garmin, it does cost double, and don't get me wrong, if you're gonna, I don't know, go across Namibia or Botswana, then yeah, go ahead, get the Garmin, or if, you know, your finances allow it. But I strongly believe that, you know, at less than half the price, the Carpuride 702 Pro is a perfect deal. But get this, if you use the promo code Nimrod, then you will get 30% off. Like, that is an absolute bargain. Then if you have the budget for something like a Garmin, with that amount, you'll be able to get a 702 Pro, you will be able to buy a secondary phone, you'll still have money left over to pay for an additional plan. You know, if you are traveling abroad, digital SIM and all the other stuff, you will have internet. You can always download offline maps. This is also something I kind of forgot to mention. Wherever you ride, you won't always have coverage, but if you know that you're going to be traveling to Romania, Poland, Alabama, wherever, somewhere in Canada, then you can just download those maps offline and you will always have them on your phone, and the Carpuride 702 will always have that displayed. So something that really surprised me on this unit is the glare. The sun is pretty low right now, and you'll be able to see later on in my POV shots that the glare is pretty much non-existent. At the same time, the 702 Pro does have a light sensor, so when it gets dark, obviously then the screen will be a bit more dim, whereas when there's a lot of light outside, then the screen will be super bright, so you will be able to see it. Something to keep in mind here, from my perspective, I have a lot better view of the 702 Pro than what I had on the iPhone 11 Pro. Now, this being a review video, I also have to talk about what could be improved on the 702 Pro, but honestly, I can't really complain about a lot. Maybe we could have a quicker boot up time. Like, after you turn on the ignition, it takes about 5 seconds for the Carpuride logo to disappear and for you to be inside the menu of the system. However, it is still a lot better than what you would get on something like the 702BS, which goes on the BMWs, because there, whenever you turn on the motorcycle, the unit actually restarts. Whereas with the 702 Pro, the unit actually stays on, so I find that to be a big positive. But in terms of improvement, yeah, maybe the boot up time. But other than that, I'm happy with the glare, I'm happy with the build quality, I'm happy with the mounts. No, they have offered several setups. Obviously, if Carpuride doesn't expect me to send the unit back to China, then obviously I'll keep it and you'll see it in my future videos. You know, you'll have a better idea. I'll be able to provide a lot more feedback on the unit, but right now, in terms of first impressions after 1 week of usage, I'm really happy with the unit. Having said that, I'll switch over now to the POV footage so you can have a better idea of what it is like to actually have it on the motorcycle. You will see that it is quite a big unit. It is 7 inches in diameter. You can always get a 5-inch one, and people still ask me why I actually opted for the bigger one, and I think I'm the wrong guy to ask because I actually own a 65-inch TV in my relatively small living room, so I always like my screens to be as big as possible, and it doesn't bother me. I really like the fact that I can have a big view of the map as well as my music and everything right in front of me. Kind of like the way rally riders at the Dakar Rally have their road book in front of them. You can actually have this set up straight in front of you, which I really love with this setup. So let's jump over and go for a ride.
The screen is very visible. Again, the sun's right behind us. It is hitting the screen straight on. And mind you, I still have the protective film on the screen. Right now, as we're going into the forest, you can tell that it's a lot better as well. I know that the 702 Pro, at least, I'm not sure about the other models, does have this sensor as well, light sensor, just so it automatically dims and lights up depending on your lighting conditions. So at night it will be dimmer, so it will give you better visibility on the road itself. Yep, tire pressure monitoring system, lean angle of the motorcycle as well. You've got quite a few useful bits on here, and I can tell you that I can confirm here on the bike as well that the pressure is accurate, because simply I've had the other TPMS or standalone TPMS system that I mounted onto the motorcycle, and I've changed the sensors. I've obviously installed the ones that come with the Carpuride 702 Pro, and it is showing the same values, so at least I can confirm that both the standalone AliExpress version is displaying accurate information, as well as the 702 Pro. It's also displaying the temperature of the tires as well, front wheel, rear wheel. As you can tell, I'm using motocross gloves now, and the screen is insanely responsive. Like, I can easily handle everything on the screen with my glove. We're still on, well, ignition with the kill switch. Takes about 4 or 5 seconds for the navigation to come on. Now it is gonna make a fast connection. Normally it's pretty quick. There we go, it is already on there. Right, so this is Apple Maps. I'm gonna stick to Apple Maps right now, simply to kind of show you guys that Apple Maps does a really good job when going off-road. As long as there is kind of a trail that you can see on the satellites, Apple Maps will actually show you the way along that trail, whereas Google Maps won't. And then the other obvious thing, Waze, in countries like Romania at least, police are normally marked as well, so if they are, you know, there's a speed camera or something, you will actually see that on Waze as well. So advantages, disadvantages. I don't think Garmin has that. I'm really loving this view here. I have the music there. We'll change it, I don't know, because yeah, there we go, CKY, and I'm going straight towards the BMW right now. Only downside on the phone is that I now have to charge it separately, whereas whilst I had it up on the motorcycle, I had the wireless charging system, so it was charging constantly. But I figure if I'm not going to be using the screen of the phone, the battery is going to last a lot longer. As a Husqvarna Norden owner, I can confirm that the OEM TPMS sensor for this motorcycle costs about 220 euros, $220, roughly around there, 200 pounds roughly. Which is insane. Like, you can get a standalone unit, which I had, and I've mentioned this in my Norden review video. You can get that for 20 euros off of AliExpress, and it does the exact same job. Only thing is, it doesn't display the TPMS, sorry, the tire pressure on your main dashboard, but you have a standalone unit on your handlebars. Now with the Carpuride system, it's a lot better. You have your navigation as well as the tire pressure now displaying on your even larger screen than what you have as your OEM screen, as your main screen of the motorcycle. Yep. Hello, Little Creek. But the quality of the road is Actually, not as bad as what I expected so far, at least. And even though the navigation system does get a bit of vibration, it's not that bad, and I can still clearly see the screen. So you can go rally around with a Carpuride system, and you're not going to need something that costs twice as much. This thing will do an amazing job. It's big, and I highly recommend the 702 compared to the 502, but that's obviously down to personal taste. And even though it's vibrating and everything, it's staying really well up there. Again, if you want something more stable, you may as well opt for bar mount. But if I allow it to vibrate like this, maybe it's just a psychological thing, because these systems are made to resist vibrations. But if I allow it a bit of leeway, kind of, it does help with, you know, not getting big shocks, I suppose. This is what these adventure bikes are for, as well as these navigation systems, guys. Behaving super well, and I am super happy with it. The 702 Pro Carpuride suits the motorcycle perfectly well.
So that was my take on the Carpuride 702 Pro plus TPMS. If I've managed to give you a good idea of what this unit is capable of and you are looking to buy one at a discount, don't forget to use the coupon code Nimrod at checkout. And honestly, I think it's a good deal even at a full price, but obviously a 30% discount is a big positive. And guys, if you like these types of reviews as well as motorcycle content in general, make sure to hit like, subscribe to the channel, simply so you don't miss out on future videos. Thank you for joining me on the mountain. Hope you enjoy your Carpuride unit. Nimrod signing out.